In the tranquil Jetavana monastery, disciples gathered under the sacred Bodhi tree, seeking wisdom from the Buddha's words. The soft murmur of rustling leaves accompanied the warm rays of sunlight cascading over their serene faces. Buddha sat cross-legged, his calm demeanor radiating an aura of immense peace and clarity. The scent of blooming jasmine filled the air, mingling with the distant chime of temple bells. Buddha's gaze moved across his disciples, and he began to speak in his clear, measured voice. Life is a journey through an ever-changing landscape, he said. Our desires often lead us astray, chasing after illusions. The disciples listened intently, their focus unwavering, sensing the depth in Buddha's every word. Imagine, Buddha continued, a man lost in a vast desert, his throat parched, his steps faltering under the weight of exhaustion. His words painted vivid imagery, drawing the disciples deeper into the narrative. In the distance, Buddha said, "This man sees what appears to be an oasis shimmering on the horizon." Buddha paused, allowing the weight of his words to settle upon the attentive gathering. His heart lifts with hope, his pace quickens, and he reaches for salvation, Buddha said, his tone softening. But upon reaching the place, Buddha continued, the man finds nothing but sunlit sand, a cruel mirage. Some disciples exchanged quiet glances, the metaphor resonating with the struggles and illusions they had faced. Such is the nature of attachment to worldly possessions, Buddha explained, his voice calm yet profound. We chase wealth, status, and material goods, believing they will bring us fulfillment and joy, he said. Yet, when we attain them, we often find they fail to fill the void within. Look into the water. When still, it reflects the truth. I possess only what sustains me, Buddha said, holding up the bowl, and in this, I have found a profound freedom. His words echoed, touching the hearts of the disciples, challenging their own perceptions of contentment and need. The more we accumulate, Buddha continued, the more we invite entanglements, complicating our lives and darkening our minds. The science of the modern world, the Buddha began, now speaks of the mind's adaptability, its changeable pathways. They call this neuroplasticity, the shaping of the mind's channels through habits, intentions, and repeated actions. One disciple, a merchant by background, raised his hand, seeking guidance through his own conflict of desires. Master, he began, how do we discern between necessity and excess in our lives? Buddha's gaze softened as he addressed the question. Sensing the disciples' earnestness, begin by asking, Buddha advised, does this possession serve your growth, or does it feed your attachment to fleeting comfort? The disciple bowed his head, Buddha's guidance igniting a spark of understanding within his restless heart. When we attach meaning to objects beyond their function, Buddha continued, we place our happiness outside ourselves. His words resonated, empowering the listeners to reflect on the sources of their own dissatisfaction and misplaced priorities. The path to freedom begins not in acquisition, but in conscious detachment, a shedding of the unnecessary, Buddha said. He recounted a brief tale of a traveler, burdened by heavy bags, unable to climb a steep, treacherous mountain. The traveler soon realized, Buddha said, that to reach the summit, he must leave behind what weighed him down. The disciples marveled at the wisdom, their minds drawing connections to their own metaphorical baggage in life. When we understand the true weight of possessions, Buddha explained, we can begin to embrace simplicity with open hearts. He concluded his teaching with a smile, his serene presence embodying the essence of his message. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows as the disciples sat in silence, immersed in profound contemplation. Detached, yet aware, the words guided me, helping me to observe my thoughts as they came and went. Without resistance, Buddha rose from his seat, and with a soft gesture, He led the disciples toward the monastery. Their resolve strengthened. Together they walked, the sounds of their footsteps mingling with the eternal rhythm of nature around them. In their hearts, the lesson lingered that simplicity is not an absence, but the essence of true abundance and liberation. Another day, beneath the vast canopy of sky, Buddha and his disciples traveled to a quiet village surrounded by hills. The morning air carried the sweet fragrance of wildflowers as they settled near a crystal-clear lake. Buddha sat on a flat rock, his serene presence calming the minds of those gathered around him. The water reflected the azure sky, mirroring its vastness and stillness, drawing everyone's gaze toward its tranquil beauty. Buddha observed the disciples and villagers with a compassionate smile, his voice steady as he began to speak. The mind, like this lake, reflects what is before it, he said. When still, it mirrors truth. When disturbed, only chaos. The disciples leaned in closer, their attention sharpened by the weight of his words. He continued, "You fear simplicity because you see it as emptiness, a loss of what you hold dear." His eyes moved across the crowd, acknowledging their silent concerns and unspoken thoughts. This fear stems from a misunderstanding, an illusion you've created about the nature of fulfillment, Buddha explained. "Come," he said, motioning for me to follow him once more along the forest path lined with ancient trees. As we walked, the sunlight filtered through the canopy, casting dappled patterns on the ground, shifting with the wind. "Emptiness is not a void," he said. "It is an open space where peace and wisdom can reside." The sound of a gentle breeze rustling through the trees punctuated his words, adding a rhythm to his teaching. A disciple, seated at the edge of the group, raised his voice with sincerity. "Master, how do we overcome the fear of letting go?" Buddha turned to him, his gaze filled with compassion and understanding. "To overcome fear, you must first understand its root," Buddha replied, his tone calm yet profound. He recounted a story, his voice weaving a vivid tapestry of imagery. "Once, I met a wealthy man who feared losing his treasures," Buddha began. "He clung to them, believing they defined his worth and identity." The disciples and villagers listened intently, their imaginations painting the tale in their minds. The man slept poorly, consumed by worry that thieves would take what he held dear, Buddha continued. His treasures became chains, binding him to restlessness and fear, robbing him of peace. The crowd murmured softly, recognizing echoes of their own attachments within the man's plight. Buddha paused, allowing his words to settle like ripples fading on the lake's surface. When the man released his treasures, he found freedom, Buddha said. He discovered that true wealth lies in a mind unburdened by fear. The audience sat in contemplative silence, their thoughts turning inward to examine their own attachments. Buddha then rose and walked toward the lake, his presence drawing the disciples' eyes to his every movement. He picked up a handful of pebbles, holding them up for all to see. "Imagine these pebbles as the fears and attachments you carry," he said, his voice resonant with purpose. He gently tossed the pebbles into the lake, watching as they sank, creating ripples that expanded outward. "Letting go of fear is like releasing these pebbles," Buddha explained. "The ripples may stir the surface, but the water remains whole." The disciples nodded, their minds connecting the metaphor to their own lives and struggles. A villager spoke, her voice filled with emotion. "Master, does simplicity mean abandoning everything we love?" Buddha turned to her, his expression tender and reassuring. "Simplicity does not mean abandonment," he replied. "It means discerning what truly nurtures your soul and releasing what does not." He continued, "To love deeply is not to possess, but to embrace with an open and unattached heart." His words touched the crowd, inspiring a shift in their understanding of love and relationships. Each part is impermanent, Arising and ceasing in a dance as old as existence itself, we continued walking. The sound of our footsteps blending with the soft murmur of the river's flow. A modern understanding of the mind, the Buddha began, speaks of neural pathways, connections that give rise to identity. Science now shows us that even these pathways are impermanent, reshaped by experience, learning, and intention. Be like water, flowing without attachment. He stood, his presence commanding yet humble, his voice carrying a serene conviction. Simplicity is the art of creating space for what is essential, Buddha said. It is freedom from the weight of excess. The disciples and villagers felt the truth of his words resonate deeply within them, opening their hearts to a new perspective. As the sun began to set, casting warm hues of gold and orange across the sky, Buddha concluded his teaching. Embrace simplicity not as a loss, but as the path to clarity, peace, and freedom, he said. The crowd remained seated, their spirits uplifted, their minds calmed by the wisdom they had received. Buddha turned and began walking along the lake's edge, his disciples following, their hearts lighter and their steps purposeful. The stillness of the lake mirrored the stillness they sought within themselves, a testament to the teachings they had heard that day. Together, they left the village, carrying with them the timeless wisdom of simplicity, a gift that would guide their lives forever. Another day, the sun rose over the dense forest, casting golden rays through the canopy of leaves above the disciples. Buddha walked with steady steps along a winding trail, his calm presence radiating tranquility and purpose. The air was filled with the earthy scent of moss and the sweet aroma of wild blossoms swaying in the breeze. Birds sang melodious tunes, and the rustling leaves played their quiet symphony, harmonizing with the rhythm of the journey. Along the path, Buddha and his disciples encountered a farmer struggling to pull his heavily laden ox cart up a steep hill. The farmer's face was flushed with effort, his brow furrowed in frustration, his body visibly burdened by the task. Buddha paused, observing the scene, his compassionate gaze taking in the weight of the farmer's toil and the strain on the ox. The disciples halted beside him, their attention shifting toward the farmer and his immobile cart. Buddha stepped forward, his voice calm and filled with clarity as he addressed the farmer. "Brother, why does your cart struggle to move?" Buddha asked, his tone gentle yet inquisitive. The farmer glanced at Buddha, his expression a mix of weariness and helplessness. "Wise one, my cart is heavy with sacks of grain, wood, and provisions," he replied. "I must deliver them, yet they keep me from ascending the hill." Buddha nodded, his serene expression unwavering as he carefully assessed the situation. Buddha turned to his disciples and motioned toward the ox cart, inviting them to observe the weight it carried. "Look closely," Buddha said. "This cart, weighed down by excess, cannot progress forward with ease." His words resonated with a profound simplicity, striking a chord within the hearts of his listeners. The farmer, eager for guidance, approached Buddha and bowed deeply before him. "Master, what must I do to continue my journey?" he asked, his voice laced with desperation and hope. Buddha gestured toward the sacks and bundles piled upon the cart, his expression thoughtful and reflective. "Remove what is unnecessary," Buddha replied, his tone steady yet filled with wisdom. "Carry only what is essential for the journey ahead." The farmer hesitated briefly, considering the implication of Buddha's advice. Before beginning to unload the cart, the disciples watched silently, their thoughts swirling as the metaphor unfolded before them. As the farmer removed sacks of grain and bundles of wood, the cart became visibly lighter, its wheels lifting from their deep grooves. The ox stepped forward, its burden eased, and the cart began to ascend the hill with renewed freedom. The farmer turned to Buddha, his face now radiant with gratitude and relief. "Master, your words have freed me," the farmer said, Bowing once more, I see now that less is more on my journey. Buddha smiled gently, his gaze resting upon the farmer with a quiet sense of compassion and encouragement. Freedom comes not from holding, but from releasing, Buddha said. Let go, and the path becomes clear. Turning to his disciples, Buddha addressed them with deliberate clarity, his words flowing like a steady stream. Life is much like this cart, he said. We carry burdens, possessions, fears, and doubts that weigh us down and hinder our progress. His voice resonated through the forest, mingling with the rustling leaves and the distant calls of birds. We often cling to what is familiar, Buddha continued, believing it defines us and protects us from uncertainty. His disciples nodded, their faces etched with introspection as they reflected on their own burdens and attachments. But clinging to excess leads only to stagnation, Buddha said. It blinds us to the possibilities of the journey ahead. A young disciple stepped forward, his eyes filled with curiosity and a yearning for understanding. Master, how do we discern what is necessary and what is excess? He asked. Buddha turned to him, his expression kind yet firm as he offered guidance. Begin by asking yourself, Buddha said, does this possession bring peace? Or does it feed your fear and restlessness? The young disciple bowed his head, Buddha's wisdom lighting a spark of insight within him. Buddha continued, his voice steady and deliberate, his words weaving an intricate web of truth. To embrace simplicity, one must cultivate awareness, he said. Recognize the weight of excess and release it to move forward. The disciples listened intently, their hearts stirred by the depth of Buddha's teachings and the clarity of his guidance. Simplicity is not a deprivation, Buddha explained. It is an invitation to discover the lightness of being. His words resonated through the forest, echoing the wisdom of his presence and the truth of his philosophy. Buddha recounted a tale, his voice gentle yet profound, painting vivid imagery that illuminated his teaching. Once, I met a king weighed down by the treasures of his kingdom, Buddha began. His palace was filled with gold, jewels, and silks, yet his heart was heavy with discontent. The disciples and the farmer listened intently, their minds captivated by the story unfolding before them. The king believed his treasures defined his worth, Buddha continued. He feared losing them, yet they robbed him of peace and clarity. His words struck a chord, revealing the universal truth within the story's narrative. Only when the king relinquished his treasures, Buddha said, did he discover freedom and joy within his soul. The disciples nodded, their expressions reflecting a growing understanding and appreciation for the power of letting go. Buddha concluded the tale, his voice calm yet resonant with conviction. He turned toward the trail ahead, his gaze steady as he prepared to continue the journey. Simplicity is the path to liberation, Buddha said. It allows us to move forward without the weight of burdens. The disciples rose, their resolve strengthened by the truth they had heard and the wisdom they had received. Together, they walked alongside Buddha, their steps purposeful and their hearts lighter with the clarity of his teaching. The forest seemed to echo their journey, its vibrant hues and quiet rhythm reflecting the harmony they sought within themselves. As they continued, they carried with them the profound lesson of simplicity, a guiding light for the path ahead. Practice presence. Each moment is an opportunity to see deeply, to reconnect with the web of existence, he said. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.